The greatest fear of a killer is not the immediate arrest. It's the silent tick of time, knowing that a single invisible trace, a single strand of DNA remains waiting for the technology to catch up. For $20 years, this killer walked free, living in the shadow of a crime. This is the story of Jane Doe, a young woman whose life was brutally cut short in the summer of 1999. A case that went cold almost instantly, only to be resurrected decades later by the power of forensic science. The night the world stopped. On July $12th, $1999. Jane was last seen returning home from her evening shift at the local library. She was quiet, well-liked, and had her whole future ahead of her. By morning, a neighbor found her apartment door ajar. The scene was chaotic, violent, and confusing. Investigators quickly confirmed it was a homicide. They scoured the scene, collecting everything: fibers, fingerprints, and crucially, an unknown biological sample. They had the killer's fingerprint, metaphorically, but the database of known offenders, known as Cody's, had no match. It was a dead end. The unknown sample, this microscopic signature of the perpetrator, could not be identified. The leads dried up. Suspects were interviewed, then cleared. The case file grew thicker, yet colder. The public slowly forgot, but the lead detective, Detective Mark Peterson, never did. For him, this was a debt unpaid. By the mid-$2000s, the file was relegated to the basement, becoming another tragic entry in the criminal ledger. The killer had won. For now, the silent evolution. Fast forward to $2019. 2 decades have passed. Detective Peterson has retired, but a new cold case unit, fueled by cutting-edge technology, has emerged. Their biggest weapon? Investigative Genetic Genealogy. This wasn't the DNA testing of the 90s. That technology required an exact one-to-one match. Genealogy is different. This technique takes the unidentified DNA sample, uploads its profile to open-source public genealogy databases, and searches not for the killer, but for their distant relatives, their second, third, or even fourth cousins who have voluntarily uploaded their own DNA, hoping to trace their ancestry. It's a biological breadcrumb trail leading straight to the killer's family tree. The DNA from the $1999 crime scene was retrieved from the dusty evidence locker and sent to a specialized lab. Days turned into weeks, and then the breakthrough. The sample matched the profile of a woman in another state, a second cousin to the killer. After 20 years of silence, the evidence was finally speaking. Following the bloodline, the Cold Case team, now led by Detective Sarah Miller, began the painstaking work of traditional police investigation. But in reverse, they constructed a family tree spanning over 100 years. By methodically eliminating relatives and cross-referencing public records like birth and death certificates, they narrowed the list from thousands to a handful of potential suspects. All were male. All had lived in the vicinity of the $1999 crime scene. The prime suspect was a $55 a year old man named Arthur Jenkins. He was a local mechanic, married, and lived an utterly quiet, unremarkable life only 5 miles from Jane Doe's old apartment. He had been interviewed briefly in $1999 and immediately dismissed due to lack of evidence. He was a ghost, hiding in plain sight within the community he had terrorized. The final trap. The team needed one last, irrefutable piece of evidence: Arthur Jenkins' current DNA. They had a strong match to his family. But to secure conviction, they needed his own profile. They couldn't just demand it. They had to be patient and meticulous, waiting for him to discard something in public. The opportunity came at a local coffee shop. Jenkins discarded a paper cup and a napkin. The surveillance team moved in immediately, retrieving the items. The evidence was sent to the lab for a direct comparison. It took $48 nerve-wracking hours for the final results to come in. The phone call came in the dead of night. The match was $100%. The DNA left at the crime scene in $1999 belonged to Arthur Jenkins. The shadow he had lived in $20 years was about to be obliterated by the light of science. Jenkins was arrested the next morning at his garage. His calm facade crumbled instantly. Facing irrefutable scientific proof, he confessed, detailing the brutal events of that $1999 night. The reason for the murder was tragically mundane. A brief argument that escalated into a monstrous, life-ending act. A long overdue verdict. In the courtroom, $20 years after the crime, the family finally heard the verdict. Guilty. The sentence, life without parole. Detective Peterson, now in his $70 was there for the ruling. He described the moment as the closing of an open wound. The justice system, with the help of 21st century science, had finally delivered. This case is a profound testament to the relentless pursuit of justice. It proves that no matter how much time passes, a single tiny piece of evidence, a trace of DNA left behind by a careless killer, can still speak volumes. The cold case files are getting smaller, one scientific breakthrough at a time.